We're live. Hey, good evening. This is Pastor Jonathan. This is my wife, Alyssa. We want to welcome you and thank you for watching this first Marriage Together video. We hope that each video, and our hope is to do one a month, is sort of like opening a door. And by opening the door, it will first enable you to have a conversation with your spouse or a friend, someone you're in a relationship with. Number two, maybe it enables you to have a conversation with us. You're always free to text or to write or to call. It also enables us to have a conversation with you. So between videos, what we hope to do is to continue to somehow trickle down resources, whether it's we're writing something related to this video or you're asking questions and we can maybe write something in response to that. So we hope that you don't have to wait from 1 month to another to hear something related to marriage. Again, our heart is to provide resources so that you can grow in your marriage, so that you can grow in your friendship and in your relationship. So we're calling this and whatever other resources come out of this, Marriage Together. Why Marriage Together? Well, because we believe that marriage only works if you work at it together. Right? You'll be hearing that a lot. Marriage only works if you work at it together. So tonight we're going to talk about one subject. Every video is going to be about one subject. And so here's how I want to intro what we're going to be talking about. Right? We're foster parents, therapeutic foster parents. Many of you know that. In order to become foster parents, you have to go through a training. And one of the things that you cover in training is something called felt safety. Right? So in a relationship with this foster child, a boy or girl that comes into your home, the objective is to develop a relationship with them and they with you. But for them, it's impossible for them to move forward in that relationship, which means it's impossible for them to move forward in their healing until they feel safe in your home, until they feel safe around you, or what we want to say is until they trust you, right? That's what is called felt safety. Now, we believe that that principle can be applied to all of our relationships, right? So that, let's say together, that the emotional development of our relationship, the emotional development of our marriage, it stops if we don't feel safe and secure with each other. But if we do feel safe and secure with each other, then our relationship can move forward. It can begin to grow. It will become healthy and fruitful, right? So the key here in every area of your marriage, whether it's communication or intimacy or finances or even raising children, whatever it is, the key here is knowing that the other person has your best interest at heart. In other words, the key here is trust. Do I trust her? Does she trust me? If that trust exists, then it enables us, it's a catalyst of sorts, for us to be able to prosper, to work together so that marriage can become a blessing. Marriage can be the biggest blessing in your life. We believe that's what God intends for marriage. And so one of the fundamental things that we believe of a successful marriage needs is this thing called trust, this felt safety, this security, and this trust. And so I want to give opportunity to Alyssa to talk a little bit about this.
Sure. So I've had many conversations over the years where people have said to me, I need to talk to my husband about this thing, but I just can't talk to him about it. And, or they will have heard, Jonathan and I have shared some stories. We had two different scenarios that I use an example, but we've had this same type of conversation numerous times over our 19 years of being married. But the two specific examples that come to mind today is several years ago, maybe, 10 years ago or so, Jonathan asked me to come and sit down with him in the kitchen and said, we need to talk. Well, when you hear those "we need to talk" words, it's never really, exciting. You always know something is about to happen. So we sat down at the table, and he just very calmly and gently and kindly said, but firmly and clearly, there are some things that you are not doing well right now. And there's some adjustments that need to be made. And, it was very clear to me that he was not happy with the way some things were going. Now, I had a couple of different ways that I could respond, but ultimately, I responded with very quietly excusing myself from the table and going upstairs and really wrestling with what he had said and wrestling with myself in that. And then I came back down to the table and basically had to admit, you're right. I'm not doing well in these areas and I need to do a better job. The second conversation is very similar, except the roles were reversed. I had to say to him, you are doing this thing, and when you do this, it makes me feel this way, and you need to stop doing it. And in that moment, he had several responses that were an option, and he could have yelled, he could have made excuses, he could have, really denied what he was doing wrong, he could have downplayed my feelings, but instead he said, you know what, you're right. I shouldn't make you feel that way, and if it makes you feel that way, I need to stop doing that. So, when I've relayed these conversations to other people, I've heard a lot of things like, I could never talk to my spouse like that. I could never bring something up like that. I could never approach a topic like that with my spouse. And really, that's a travesty, because the way that God really designed marriage is so that this relationship in a healthy way really makes us more like Jesus. And so we're going to see the worst sides of each other. We're going to hopefully see the best sides of each other. And in seeing the worst sides of each other, the intention by God is that we trust each other enough that we can have those hard conversations that will help us become more like Jesus, right? To be able to feel more secure and safe and free in our relationships with each other. So, it comes down to understanding that he has my best interest at heart, and I can trust that he intends good things for me. And he can trust that I intend good things for him, and he can trust me with his heart. One of the guiding scriptures for me when I was a new wife was Proverbs 31:11-12. And don't think that because it's about the Proverbs 31 woman that this verse is just applicable to the woman. This is applicable to both husband and wife. And the scripture says, the heart of her husband trusts in her, and he will have no lack of gain. She does him good and not harm all the days of her life. I'll also say the heart of the wife trusts in the husband, and she will have no lack of gain. He does her good and not harm all the days of his life. So if that is the guiding principle within our relationship, that I am to add life to him. He is to add life to me. I am to have good intentions for him. He is to have good intentions for me. And I can trust and have confidence in him in all areas of life. He can have trust and confidence in me in all areas of life. If that is the core of our relationship, then we are able to move forward into other areas and into other things. And really, the sky is the limit if you can trust and have confidence in each other. The places you can go as a married couple, if you have safety and security and trust with each other, it's really, it's a dream. It's amazing what can happen when you have those things.
I think sometimes, as an example, you might be afraid or nervous to bring something up, right, to the other person. So, you're afraid to say, well, Alyssa, you did this, or she might be afraid, well, Jonathan, you did this. So one of the things that you can do, I think, in terms of demonstrating your love for your spouse and demonstrating a commitment to grow the marriage and the relationship, is you take the initiative. You don't wait for them to come to you and say, hey, I have something to tell you, right? You can come to them and say, is there anything you feel that you need to tell me? I'm asking you. I'm here with an open mind and an open heart. I just want to know, is there anything you notice? Is there anything you've seen in me that you want to bring to my attention? I've been budgeting, I've been trying to manage our finances. Do you see something there that you think I can improve upon? The way I handle the kids, or the way I handle the home, or the way I come home from work. Is there anything that you see that you think I need to work on? Is there any way that I make you feel afraid or uncomfortable. And so in that way, you're helping them, and you're also building trust. And so don't always wait for the other person to come. Don't always assume that because, oh, they're not bringing anything up to me, I'm doing everything right. And you're never going to be doing everything right all the time. There's always going to be something. And so let's take the initiative together, right? Maybe you set, a rule for yourselves that before you go to bed, you say to one another, hey, is there something you should say to me that you wanted to say to me earlier but you didn't? Let's not go to bed with anything left unsaid. Or you pick a day of the week and you just go through, hey, this happened this past week. How did we handle that circumstance? How do we handle this circumstance? How did that conversation go or make you feel? So take the initiative in serving each other in that way and building that safety and that security and that trust. So we want to leave you with this question that maybe you can practice and apply in your marriage or in your relationship. You need to ask yourself first, does the heart of my husband trust in me? Or does the heart of my wife trust in me? Right? Ask each other bluntly, do we have each other's best interest at heart? Right? The first thing is to have a heart for your spouse. That's something that Jesus can give to you. That's something that you can pray and ask him to do in you and for you. He's a God who creates new things, new desires, new patterns, new habits. He can create it all. So the first thing is we come to him because Jesus has expectations for me as a husband and he has expectations for her as a wife. And if we want to meet his expectations, you know what's going to happen? He's going to give us grace to live up to his expectations because he wants us to live up to them. He doesn't want to crush us. He wants us to live up to them. If I try and live up to her expectations, I'm going to be crushed and fail every time. If she tries to live up to my expectation, she's going to fail every time. But if we live up to Jesus' expectations, we're going to find grace every single time. So for this next month, just ask those questions of yourself. Does my spouse, does my friend, does my partner, do they trust in me? Do we have each other's best interest at heart? So again, all together, we're going to be working on our marriage, right? Marriage together. Why? Because marriage only works if you work at it together. As we said in the beginning, if you have any questions, you can write us, you can call us, you can reach out to us. We're here to help you. We're here to serve you. We're here to grow with you in our marriage. All right, thanks for tuning in. Have a great night. We'll see you soon.